my knowledge, this violates every canon of respectable broadcasting.
How are you?
Hey, who wants to help me get this recorder out of here? I need some muscle over here.
You're listening to Blame Your Brother.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Blame Your Brother. We are back once again streaming live on YouTube every Thursday night, 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. So come hang out with us as we stream the show live just for you. Go to blameyourbrother.tv and you can hang out with us on Thursday nights, 8 p.m. And of course, we are Blame Your Brother. I am one half of that duo. I am David, aka D Brew, voice of the people, Mr. 40%, Glenn Jackson, the spiritual midget. And this gentleman sitting over here to the left of me, it is John.
Hey, everybody, John here, a.k.a. Tico, a.k.a. Mr. Groupon, Mr. PTI, the Madman.
They got John Tortorella, a madman.
They do have a madman.
Okay, he's a madman.
All right, there we go. So that's Blame Your Brother, David and John. We got a lot of things to discuss today. We're going to be doing the Mount Rushmore of Resurrections.
In movies.
In honor of Easter Sunday that just happened. So we are excited to get to that. But before we do that, we need to do this more often. We did the Mount Rushmore of stand-up comedians. And, of course, people had opinions of who we left off, why we were wrong, blah, blah, blah. So we're going to look at some of those right now. So Brooke Jolly is a local comedian. And he obviously, I would say any comedian would obviously have some input into it. So I'm just going to read his comments off first. He says, y'all left off Lenny Bruce off the list.
I mean, I mentioned him.
Without him, there's no Carlin or Pryor. He said, shit, Carlin got arrested with him once. Also, you left off any female comics. I'll come back to that. Maria Bamford is a living legend. And I said, well, I mean, I don't think Lenny Bruce was very funny. And he said, well, wasn't that the argument for including Bob Hope? I said, that's John's pick right there. You got to talk to John about that. Then we had our buddy Brandon Hurst said Bernie Mac should have been on the list. And Scoop Nashville says we should do local comics next. I said, oh boy.
We got one.
I could do a few, but yeah, it would be dicey. And then Sean Parrott, local comedian, said, why am I not on this list? I said, you were that close. But so that was some of our comments we got right there. So I'm going to touch on the issues of female comics because we discussed Lenny Bruce. I mean, yes, obviously instrumental. He would probably be included on many Mount Rushmores. I'm not going to deny that he's not on mine, but I could see the point for it. You know, I don't believe that any female comic would usurp any one of the 8 we listed. Now, I don't know why that is. I mean, when you think of who's the best female comic working today, John, does anyone come to mind just that stands
maybe
up?
Kathleen Madigan.
Exactly. Tell me.
Nikki Glazer.
Okay. But these are like B-lister. I mean, come on.
They don't shine.
Right.
Not like, I mean, the people, and they got to remember, we got 4 slots to fill.
Right.
And that's it. I mean, Phyllis Diller, is that the one you want us to throw up there?
That's kind of my point. Like, okay, so what? I put Dave Chappelle off the list? No. I mean, he's going to be on there no matter what. Yeah. Then I thought, well, George Carlin has got to be on my list. And then Jerry Seinfeld, like, are you putting a female comic over Jerry Seinfeld and the importance to him of comedy throughout stand-up comedians? I mean, Bill Burr, I guess you can make a point, but once again,
I mean, standalone is, I mentioned Kathleen Madigan. I think she's hilarious, but do I think she's funnier than Bill Burr? No.
Right.
Do I think she's funnier than Dave Chappelle? No. Do I think she's funnier than Stephen Wright? No.
Right. I mean, I come back to, and maybe that's because we are straight white men who our list was all straight white men, and a lot of them were our age or a little bit older. I mean, there are more male fans to stand-up comedy than there are female fans to stand-up comedy. 100%, yes.
First of all.
Right.
Second of all, you're not going to watch, there's not a lot of guys that Steel Magnolias is their favorite movie.
No, not really.
Because there's not a driving male figure that they can identify with.
Right.
Men think men are funny because the comedy, the stories that they tell, the jokes that they tell, they can identify with.
Right.
They've kind of been in those shoes, or they've had a small semblance of how they felt, but the comedians tend to, they way overplay it, and that's what makes it funny.
Right.
And so, I mean, if there are jokes about someone being on their period, I'm not going to be able to identify with that, and I probably won't think it's that funny.
Right.
So, there you go.
And I put it like this. Just historically, it has been a male-driven industry. Now, Scoop Nashville said, local comedians. Well, I would put Laura Peak on my Mount Rushmore of local comedians. I think she's one of the funniest local comedians I've ever seen in my life, and I've seen quite a few. I mean, not like I'm not involved in the scene or deep in it, but I've seen Laura Peak do stand up, and I laughed the entire time. I think she is going to be. I've told people this. She was a guest on the podcast a long time ago. She's going to be a star one day. She's going to be a superstar, whatever it would be. And so she would make mine, but just historically, sorry. I mean, it's Kathy Griffin and Wanda Sykes are hilarious. I mean, I'm not denying they're not funny. And I would say this, anybody that's made it to that grand stage is funny to some degree. Whether
you gotta think about this. Can you name a woman that's the fourth funniest person on the planet or better? If you say no, then you're not being honest on your list.
Right. Yeah, this is true. So anyways, it was a good list. I liked it. It was a good debate, and we had a lot back and forth. So, and that's the only thing, at the end of the day you can hope for. So there we go. But we appreciate it. I love when people comment on it. At least they're listening, reading, engaging. So thank you so much for those comments, and we'll do more of that in the future if you guys hit us up.
Yeah.
So
if you think we're wrong, let us know.
Right. Well, this past week was Easter, John. What did you do to celebrate the grand holiday?
We did some eggs in the yards for the kids, and that's about it. Did Easter baskets for them too, and just played with the toys and stuff that they got in their baskets.
Now you went to church, right?
This year, almost every year on Easter, in the Latter-day Saint Church, there's something called General Conference, and it usually falls on Easter.
Okay.
And that's what it fell on this week. And what it is it's a live broadcast by the leaders of the church, and they send it out via satellite, cable, whatever. You can watch it on the internet, and in lieu of going to church on Saturday and Sunday, for a total of 10 hours, basically, with 2-hour blocks. You watch these church leaders give talks and stuff.
So they're giving you the day off, pretty much. You don't have to come in.
You don't have to come in, but
Right.
it's actually you're getting a lot more church than you normally would.
Okay. Well, I guess it's kind of like working from home. You don't have to drive into work, but some people say they work more than when they're at the office. So
there you go.
Yeah, we did about the same. Had some cousins over, and we had a little Easter egg hunt, and it was a little bit different this year for me because usually my mom, who passed away, if anyone's listening for the first time, usually had a big Easter shindig for all the cousins, and there was a bunch of them, 8 or so, and so that was a little bit different. A little bit took the day to reflect on that and how much kind of missed that, but we had the Easter eggs, put the money in them, put the candy in them, and all that. So I've just noticed as I get older, the amount of candy I'm eating is decreasing, and the more I eat, the more I'm paying for it, later on, which is it's kind of terrible. I mean, we should be. I mean, you don't want to crush a kid's spirit, but you almost be like, hey, one day this ain't going to be so grand anymore. But there's some people probably our age that can eat whatever they want. Have you found that, or are you certain things tear you up now?
Oh, almost everything tears me up. I saw there was some show, it might have been Duck Dynasty, where they were at a gym, and there was a sign over the whirlpool that says if you had diarrhea in the past 2 weeks, then don't use the jacuzzi.
Yes.
And the most entertaining person on the show, which most people probably agree is Uncle Si, and Si's like, I can't remember going 2 weeks without having diarrhea.
Man.
And that's kind of like me in my head now. I mean, it's just I'm like, here I go again. So it feels like I'm always watching what I'm eating and stuff. So
it's terrible, right?
Yeah.
And now I've got these concerns in my head after my mother passed away from pancreatic cancer and was having like stomach pains up until the point, I've always had stomach pains. I think it runs in our family to certain, just to have stomach problems. And I'm like, now I've got like extra stress compounded on top of that. And I'm just like, well, you just ate like a garbage man, dude. I mean, you just ate junk food all day. Of course you're not going to feel great. So, growing old, it's just, it's fantastic, but yeah. And that, it's been a slow week for me. Same for you. It seems like
I've been working a lot. So, my day's kind of been running together.
I can imagine. Yeah.
Robin, my wife, and the baby, Emily, she's 2. We're both sick this past weekend.
Oh no!
And so
that's not good.
Yeah, and so the little bit of free time I do get with my family, I really didn't get to spend like quality time with them. So
it's that time of year, and most people don't realize that, especially where we're at now with the pandemic starting to hopefully wind down, but it's still here. That this is the time of year where a lot of people get sick, just sick in general, or allergies make you feel like you're sick as well.
Yeah.
And the only thing that came out of this was the flu season did not hit as hard this year, but we had something else on top of it. So that's not really, but yeah, man, you forget when you quarantine for like a year and you're away from people, especially having kids, how often you get sick throughout the year. And it hasn't been the case this year. So that's going to be something weird, kind of drifting back into the normalcy of it, especially when you have kids. I mean, those kids are sick, like, seems all the time, dude. I mean, they're in school and it's great.
I've got 2 small ones, and like Asher wipes his nose on the whole, anything, his shirt, the walls, anything, and he can. It's just like, stop.
Yeah, no, I hear you. It's unfortunate. I do go get the second dose of COVID on Tuesday. And I'm a little bit worried about it. I mean, I'm not worried I'm going to turn into a mutant or anything like that, but I've heard that the second one hits hard, and for 24 hours, so I had it originally scheduled for Thursday, but I was like, I'm not going into podcast feeling like crap, so I've done it 2 days ahead of time. So hopefully it won't be too bad, but
I've heard the opposite, because people are like, prepping for the second one pretty much. Like I talked to anyone I've talked to who's had it, they said they drank a whole lot of water the day before the second dose, and they felt way better.
Well, I'll be trying that for sure.
Give that a whirl.
Yeah, I'm going to be drinking a lot of water, because I'm not looking forward to that, but I am looking forward to being able to be like, hey, I'm vaccinated. I can't wait. Now, are you still waiting?
They opened it up for hospitality workers, so I just need to make an appointment. I'm thinking about doing it next Tuesday.
Hey, look at that. Double dose next Tuesday. We both come in. Your arm would feel like it's, hanging off the ground. But the first one was fine for me. So hopefully, we'll find out. But I'm excited about that. Now, let's get to the news that's happening in the world. There's 2 things I really want to bring to the program today. DMX. What are your thoughts on the rapper? Like, were you a fan or not? I mean, I don't know if you were.
I wouldn't say I was a fan, but like, I mean, some of the stuff is like the hooks, and like they were just really catchy.
Oh man!
And it's just like, I mean, when those songs were coming out, you'd just be just doing nothing, and then it just pop in your head, just that one line, and you're like, I mean,
some of the best hooks in the rap game. I mean, stop, drop, set them down, open. I mean, come on, man. And then y'all gonna make me lose my mind, of course. That's every white person's anthem all over the world. Every white person loves that song. Like, you play that at a club and there's all like white people there.
They'll be jumping up and down.
They're gonna be getting down, Well, I've always said about DMX is that if when you get a video game, there comes, especially if you play like a wrestling game or create your own character, there's the template guy. There's a guy that's just the standard dude. That's who he is. To me, DMX was always like that guy. Like, if I was going to create a rapper, I think he would probably look like DMX. I mean, he just looks like a badass dude, man. He's got the bald head. He's kind of like, looks tough, but not tough enough where, you don't want to buy his music, but kind of like that Tupac thing. Tupac looked like a bad dude, but I'd hang out with him, but some of the rappers, I'm like, no, I'm not going to hang out with that guy. But DMX had that look. He had his voice was phenomenal. I mean, when I think of just rappers' voices, not their cadence, not like an Eminem, how skillful they are with the words, or Biggie, but just his voice. One of the best rap voices in the game. It was just like, it was just growling.
It had that roughness, but there was still a crispness too.
Yeah, right.
So yeah,
and so I've always said he's just like that dude, and I've read stories about him.
Ja Rule was kind of similar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ja Rule was like a wimpy version of DMX.
Yeah.
You know, DMX was like the real deal.
Yeah.
DMX was what you would order on Amazon. Ja Rule was what you'd order on Wish. You know, like you go, man, it's not quite what I wanted, but it's gonna have to work. Now, Ja Rule is the guy. Tell me if I'm wrong here. That was in the Fire Festival scam, right?
I think so now.
Oh, wow. What a fall, man. That dude is a crook. That guy. Oh, have you watched either of those documentaries?
I haven't.
Oh, John, you got to watch
one. I mean, we've talked about it on the podcast before. But.
Oh, they are hilarious. And he's dead and center, and he just comes across as a very dishonest, disingenuous crook. But anyway, love DMX, but this week has not been good for him. He has gone on life support, essentially. He lost oxygen to his brain. Now, I have not heard the reasons why. I know he's had a problem with substance abuse.
I heard it was an OD.
And he is currently in a vegetative state, and his family is pondering what they're going to do, you know, as that comes about, which is a decision you never want to make. That's why I would just urge people, if you don't have a living will and you have strong, you know,
inclinations one way or the other,
then you need to do that, because at some point, if you don't, it's going to come up to your family. And I always think the family's going to try to keep you alive as long as possible.
I mean, there's going to be a good guy and a bad guy.
Right.
Because no one in the family is going to be 100% on the same page.
No.
And so it's going to cause a rift years after.
Oh, for sure. But I would not want to be like that. I don't want to be in a vegetative state.
Yeah.
If I go in a coma and it's been more than a day, it's time, man. That's to me saying the universe is like, you're done. Now, you hear the stories, well, this guy was in one for 3 weeks and came back. Yeah, dude, that's like the rare exception. We're not talking about the 97% of people that.
But when he came out of that coma, saw the hospital bill, he wished he was dead.
Back in. He's like, well, I'm going to have to die now, guys. But did you know a lot of hospital bills will eat the bill when the person passes away? I was not aware of this.
I've heard some cases of that.
So when my mom passed away, she had bills for going to the radiologist and the oncologist, and my sister called and they were like, all right, forget that bill. We'll take care of it. I was like, whoa, that's crazy. So if you're dealing with anyone that's might pass away or has passed away, that might be an option for you. But it does not seem DMX is long for this world, which is unfortunate. You know, you look at the rap game and just the number of guys that have perished along the way it's crazy. I mean, I know rock has a lot of people, but not so much anymore. I mean, you go back to Chris Cornell was one of the ones recently that was kind of like hit you out of the blue, or Prince, if you call him rock. But rap for a while was just like, damn, dude. Like,
they were like flies.
I know. And of course, the two biggest, like, and I know Kurt Cobain was the biggest and he passed away, but he was the only one really of that era that did it. You had Tupac and Biggie dying relatively short time from each other, which is insanity. Like, you can't even imagine that. So it's just a hard lifestyle. I mean, no one wants to recognize that artists are often artists because their mind works a different way. They need to chase things we don't chase. They're chasing excess. And I mean, I'm never going to pay anyone bad that has a drug addiction, because I know deep down it's really about trauma that they've never addressed in their life. It's issues they've never addressed, and to be someone that's like a guy's guy, you know, in the rap game, I don't see those guys going to talk to a therapist much. I didn't see any of the guys from the grunge era going to talk to therapists, because that's not cool. You know?
Well, a lot of what they did was therapy, their music
on paper, right? Yeah,
and I mean, we mentioned like a couple of his hits and stuff, but I mean, you probably go to his back catalog, and there's probably very angry songs by DMX.
Oh, I'm sure. Oh, yeah, I'm sure. I mean, like I said, I don't know his deepest cuts, but he's got some heartfelt songs in there for sure that I've heard. I mean, and it's unfortunate, and hopefully, you know, his family will do what's best for them, do what's best for him. But I think this time next week, DMX will be doing a rest in peace for him. I just don't see it much longer. Mm-hmm. Speaking of rap, you know, you can't, obviously me and you know this, that Twitter is not to be trusted, okay? I mean, I know this, and they have these polls all the time, and the recent poll done on Twitter or social media. I don't know where. I believe it was a Twitter. They voted who was the better band of all time, Outkast or the Beatles. Now, you already know where I'm going with this. Outkast won on social media as the better band. Now,
I mean, I love Outkast.
I do too.
I mean, they got a lot of stuff. The huge catalog. I mean, and they're almost like two bands in one.
Right. Yeah, very much so.
And so, I mean, that being said, the Beatles.
But that's what I said, and some dude on Twitter was like, "Bro, what are you talking about?" I'm like, "What am I? Are you joking right now?" Look, the Beatles are the best band of their era, without a doubt. Okay, someone come at me, you think the Stones are better? We can have that argument, whatever. At least that's an argument.
Yeah.
But it's pretty much set in stone. The Beatles were one of the three best bands of their era. I don't know anyone that would make a point to say they're not. Even people that don't like their music would have to say, yeah, these guys were good. Outkast wasn't even one of the best
in their era.
Rap of their era. I mean, you had Biggie, Tupac, Jay-Z alone. Even if you don't like, I mean, those three you're going to start making arguments for. There's probably a ton more that, I love rap, but I'm not like a big, jump into the Mount Rushmore. I mean, Nas is obviously another name that's thrown in the mix. So you've already got four individual rappers
in that same genre,
right, at the same time coming out.
Yeah.
So I just don't,
I mean, Outkast was kind of like rap for white people.
Yeah,
so that might have been, a case they were leaning on. But
now, I can't imagine that the Beatles have a lot of traction in the black community as a whole. I'm not black. I can't make that statement, but I would say most black people I've known were not Beatles fanatics, okay? And I've known quite a few black people in my life, and no one ever said, yo, Beatles, that's my jam. Now, white people, yes, many. So.
The only black people I've ever known that were really into the Beatles were like super music fans. Like they knew like a lot about music as a whole. Guys that like played instruments and stuff.
Yeah.
Those people were the only black people I knew that were like really Beatles fans.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you'd probably hold a gun to somebody's head and they probably couldn't name 2 or 3 songs by the Beatles.
Probably not. No, for sure.
When these guys had albums of hits.
Yeah.
Albums, plural.
Right.
And
I'm not. Hey, if you're asking me who's the best reggae band of all time, I have no idea because I hate reggae.
I mean, you'll be like
Bob
Marley and the Wailers, and then I'm done.
And so I'm not knocking the black community for not liking the Beatles because that is not music for the black community. I understood at the time or even currently. I mean, you could argue it's music for everyone, but that's not how the real world works. We like the stuff that's adjacent to us, as we talked about the comedians earlier. You like music that fits to your soul. I happen to love rap, but I probably, as I've talked about with my sister and my brother, who have said they want to come on the podcast together. So I said, we'll make that happen. But I think people that grew up in lower economic areas that were around more people, I think are more inclined to like hip hop. I think just because you just understand it more so than, Johnny Q in Belmead or Bellevue or wherever. I mean, they don't understand about those. Like a lot of white kids like rap because they liked hearing the lyrics and it was something outside them, but they can never grasp onto it. And so, come on, man. We really are gonna sit here and argue that Outkast is better than the Beatles. That's ridiculous. And Andre 3000 is one of my Mount Rushmore. We did Mount Rushmore rap artists on the show with Brandon. And Andre 3000 was on my Mount Rushmore. I think he's one of the most gifted MCs. But, dude, he's no John Lennon. He ain't no Paul. I mean, if George Harrison was like a solo artist, would I say Outkast is better than George Harrison? Yeah, I would say that. But come on, dude. John Lennon alone, to me, I'm speaking from, but you're not touching that greatness. Or Paul McCartney. I mean, come on, dude. They changed the game of music. Did Outkast change the game? No. They were influential at the time. But they didn't change the game. So I don't know where people get off of this stuff. I think it's just really, we're starting to slow down with the news. No more Trump. That's good. But now people are like, oh, We got to get some traction on here. What are we going to talk about? Well, let's make some absurd poll. We're going to put two bands that aren't even of the same genre against each other, not in the same time period. Nothing matches up against them, but who's better? I mean, what's better? It's like saying a good hamburger or a good pizza. I mean, well, what mood are you in? And that's not even fair because
that's not even. Those are still. I mean,
I know
That's like.
What's better, ice cream or pizza? It's like, well, dude, one's a dessert, one's like a dish. Come on, dude, what are you talking about? And so ice cream wins. Well, no one likes ice cream over pizza.
I mean, I would dare say who's a better fighter, Bruce Lee or Hulk Hogan?
There you go. That's a good analogy. There you go. Speaking of. WrestleMania is coming up this weekend.
It is. Hulk Hogan will be co-hosting with Titus O'Neil.
Which is odd.
It is a very odd mix.
Well, let's catch you up on this if you didn't know. Hulk Hogan, childhood hero of everyone our age.
Yeah.
Okay. We were all there, or we at least were aware when he body slammed Andre the Giant.
WrestleMania 3.
We were there when he went against the Ultimate Warrior. One of the greatest moments of my childhood was watching those two go off against each other. And I admit, honestly, at the time, I was rooting for Warrior. Looking back, it was a stupid decision, but
I mean, Warrior won.
Right, he did. Now I was happy, but now I'm like, he probably shouldn't have won. And we watched him in WCW, NWO. He became Hollywood Hogan, and he was living the high life. Him and Rock have one of the greatest WrestleMania matches of all time. It was Rock versus Hollywood Hogan. Great match. The crowd was into it. It was fantastic. But then years later, it came out that my man liked to drop the N-word quite a bit and claims that he was racist. Now, I don't know the man, but I would say if you go around dropping the N-word like there's no tomorrow, there's probably a little bit of racism in you, okay, whether you think there is or not.
I mean, if there was racism, I mean, nowadays, when I was a kid, I loved Hulk Hogan.
Right, yes.
Now I think he's probably a despicable human being.
I mean,
he's an ego driven, and I think he ruined a lot of wrestling.
Okay, yes.
Later in his career,
I'll go with that.
But if he is racist, I think it's extremely closeted because a lot of people that did work with him, black guys,
right,
would swear up and down on a stack of Bibles that he treated them very well.
Right. So it's hard to say, right? It's like maybe you are a racist deep down and you do racist tendencies, but you're not an out and about racist, which we've talked about a lot. There's a lot of people that have subconscious racism about them. And some of them don't even know, like dropping the N-word. People thought that was cool for a long time. Like, no, man, that's bad, dude. That's like, yeah. But as Seth Rollins tweeted out this week, because I want to ask him about it. Yeah, Seth Rollins is a wrestler.
He's really, really against him.
He said, hey, the guy's always been nice to me, but that doesn't make him a great human being. And I think that's probably pretty fair to say. Yeah. So Hogan was pretty much, for a while, not mentioned in any WWE circles at all. He was taken off the page. He wasn't shown on the network. But as time heals most wounds, he's back in the thing, and he's going to be hosting the pre-show with a black man. So that's an interesting look from WWE. And look, it's hard for me to...
I mean, it does seem panderish.
Yes. Oh, for sure. I mean, but I still have a soft spot for Hogan. I always will. I mean, It's hard to... When you have these people you grew up with that you idolized and that you loved,
it would be less panderish.
Yes.
If the black guy was like Ron Simmons.
Yeah, that'd be pretty good.
Giving
them business.
Yeah. Like, damn. And so I mean that would be.
Yeah.
I mean you could do a lot with that.
Yeah, you could. So we'll see.
But someone like Titus O'Neil, which. I didn't always know this, but behind the scenes, he does a lot.
Yeah,
he's a hustler, and he does a lot for his community, and so I think they're trying to take somebody who with an overly squeaky clean image, to kind of let Hogan piggyback on that.
For sure.
So,
and hey, if he's changed, God bless you, sir. I don't know your soul, I don't know your heart, but if you're making
somebody does,
somebody does, and hopefully. You're squaring that up with whoever. But will you be watching any WrestleMania this weekend? Do you even have the Peacock Network?
I do not have the Peacock Network, but I'll probably watch some highlights and stuff online.
I'm jazzed. I can't wait. I love WrestleMania. It's one of my holidays of the year. I put it...
It's a two-nighter again, like it was last year?
Which it should be. I mean, there's many matches they're going to have. And I've gotten back into... I love wrestling these days. I'm watching a lot more of it than I had in the past. And I watch NXT, which is an offshoot of WWE. It's one of the 3 products, and man, these matches were out of this world. So I'm excited. I always make a big deal out of it. I just want to mention that because I know some people, listen, definitely watch WWE.
You amped about one specific match?
Oh man,
I mean, I am.
I'm trying to think. What's yours off the top?
I mean, Roman Reigns, Edge, and Daniel Bryan.
That's going to be a dope one. That's going to be a good one.
I never get tired of watching Daniel Bryan perform. And
no.
Edge has always been a clinic when it comes to in-ring performance.
Yeah,
so
that's going to be a really good one. I love the women almost more than the men these days, and I think Asuka and
Rhea Ripley.
Rhea Ripley is going to be a good one. I think Sasha Banks and EST, Bianca Belair is going to be a good one. I'm really looking forward to some of the smaller matches.
I'm really surprised that they're not doing anything with Bayley. Bayley's amazing.
Yeah, that's weird. I don't know what's up with that.
They could they could have easily set up something for her, and it's just...
Yeah, I don't
that's
know.
a shame.
It is a bit odd, isn't it? I sometimes they just don't have enough space for everyone, though, I guess. But that is a bit odd. I'm also looking forward to Seth Rollins' Cesaro. It's going to be a good. It's just like a lot of good matches. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to it. So there we go. If you're watching it, let us know. Let us know who you think might win, who you're watching for, what do you think of Hollywood Hogan, and all that jazz. All right, well, I think it's that time, man. It's time to go to the Mount Rushmore. Now, if you don't know, your first time listening, Mount Rushmore, we're going to pick 4 people that are 4, in this case, characters from movies that are the epitome, they are the personification of what we're discussing. And this week, it's top Resurrections characters in movies. I'll probably word that better when I type it up. But top Resurrections.
Let's hope.
Yes, I don't know. We'll say top Resurrections in movies. But so we're looking at characters. So what is before I get mine, what is your guidelines for the resurrection in movie scenes?
They are perceived dead or perceived gone, and then they're not.
Okay.
They're back.
All right.
They returned from being evidently at one point in the movie they were permanently gone.
Okay.
And then they're back.
Okay. Fair enough. Or you witness them die. You see them die. Okay.
Yeah.
And so we're going to be looking at our movies. Now, each of us picks one person, and then the other person goes. And once someone picks someone, they're off the board.
They're off the table.
Now, John gets to go first this week because I went first last week. So we're going to go up. This is top resurrection scenes in movies or top resurrected characters. There we go. Yeah. Top resurrected characters. All right. So, John, you're first. Who you going with?
Now, we've discussed some of the limitations that we put on each other with our system here.
Yeah.
And one of these is you don't really get a mic drop moment because you want to save that mic drop moment for the last one.
Okay, here we go.
But you can't because you're afraid somebody else is going to take it.
Okay.
So, that being said...
Oh, no. Don't waste your first pick, John.
I'm not.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm going to go with everybody from Endgame.
Oh, my God.
I mean...
everyone didn't die.
Well, I can't list everyone that did.
You're saying every character that died in Endgame.
Yeah.
Were they dead?
They were gone. They were perceived dead. People saw them dissipate. I mean, what would you think if I just turned into ash and blew away in the wind?
But that's uncool, man. What if I've got like some of these people on my list, so I can't pick any of them now? I don't.
You can still pick them.
I don't have anybody from Marvel.
I mean, I was thinking about putting Groot as a separate one, but technically he didn't. He's a different person.
I think that's baloney. But okay,
I thought you might. But hey.
So you're picking every character that got blipped in Avengers Endgame as your number one.
Yep.
Well, thank you for that. So now I have fair game. I'm going to go with the strongest one. And, we talked about this last week, and we thought that this person was not shown coming back from the dead in this movie. But I went back and watched this scene in the movie. And how could we not have the Mount Rushmore of Resurrections without Jesus himself from Passion of the Christ? He does come back at the end of the movie. I watched it. Yes, it shows him with the holes in hands walking out of the tomb. So my first pick, and it's specifically Jesus from the Passion of the Christ.
My friend.
Now,
well done. I'll give you props.
Now, that movie, Avengers, we could talk about all day. We love Avengers, obviously, in games, great. All those movies are fantastic. Passion of the Christ was a movie I went and saw at the theaters and was actually blown away. It's Mel Gibson directing this movie, which was not filmed in English. It was filmed in Aramaic, right?
Yeah.
Which is already, can you imagine going to the studios and pitching that? Okay, so here's the deal. I'm gonna make a movie about Jesus. Okay, we like it. About him getting tortured and killed. Oh, okay, hold on a second. And it's gonna be in the original language. Hold on, brother. What? But yet this movie it's a masterpiece. I mean, it is a strong performance. Now, who played Jesus?
Jim Caviezel,
Okay.
one of my favorite actors, actually.
Yeah, he really did outstanding in this. But anyways, the movie shows all the torture Jesus went through, shows him dying on the cross, and like I said, the very last scene, he walks out of that tomb. I guess you have to have that happen, man. If you don't, what was the movie really for? You know, I mean,
I think the main part of the movie was his.
Well, how would you
What's the
have it? You
word
just
to-
have him die at the end? And
No, I mean I agree with you on
fade
that
to
point.
black.
But I think the point is to make you watch it, and there's a lot of times that he could have avoided that in his life.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Even down near the end of the wire when they arrested him in Gethsemane. Gethsemane, the garden is actually almost like a maze.
Okay, so he could have just took off.
He could have gotten away.
He was ready, man. He was ready to do it. So whatever your thoughts are,
conversations that he had with Pilate,
Yeah.
conversations that he had with the leaders of the Pharisees, that all they wanted him to say is, "No, I'm not I'm not
Right.
the Son of God," and they'd have been like, "All right, now get out of here and keep your mouth shut."
Pilate, man, he was begging him, please just do it, man. Just do it.
Just don't say that
But, you know,
anymore.
if you've ever met someone that's truly, in their convictions, and this is if you think Jesus was the Son of God, or whether you think he was a prophet, or you think he was a historical figure, you have to respect his message, which I've always said, but B, that conviction until the end. It's like, it's unreal. That's why people love Braveheart. That's Jesus in that time, pretty much. I mean, we don't want to do it. Like, we don't want to die on the cross, but we want to see our heroes.
It's not enough to be willing to die,
Right.
but to pretty much know it's inevitable, and you still do it.
Yeah.
That's
true.
yeah.
So that's a strong movie. So my number one is Jesus. So there we
well
go.
played.
In honor of the holiday.
Yeah.
All right. Who's your number two, John?
For my number two, you shall not pass on this one, Gandalf.
All right. Gandalf the Grey, Randolph the Great, as he comes back from which movie does he die in? The first one?
He dies in the first one.
Okay.
And then he comes back in the second one, The Two Towers.
Now, people don't understand that are a little bit younger than us. Those movies were a cultural phenomenon.
Oh my gosh.
And this is just me. Star Wars came out in the same ballpark, and we both went and saw those Star Wars movies. I'm talking the first three.
Yeah.
Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, Revenge of the, whatever the last one's called, Sith. And we were disappointed heavily.
Yeah.
Now, as a nerd, and you as a nerd, growing up and reading The Hobbit and reading Lord of the Rings, these movies may be, call me on this. I know there's some Harry Potter fans out there, but they are a great representation of those books, man. I mean, I don't know how you could have done any better.
Oh no, it was fantastic, and it's just the imagery and the special effects and the work that went into those movies. Just I've got to hand it to Peter Jackson. The acting, also. I mean, side effects aside, I mean,
Yeah.
there are parts that really kind of tug at your heartstrings.
For sure. Fantastic.
I mean, for me, a lot of those moments were, between Sam and Frodo, and just I feel it, man.
And the thing about, can you imagine if you had not read the books? Now you're just watching these movies because it was a big movie. It was massive. It won Academy Awards. The third one did. People watching that movie are probably thinking, "Oh my God, did they just kill this one of the main dudes right here?" They had to be thinking that.
Yeah.
And then to come back and watch the second one, people are just like, "What just happened?" So yeah, he was definitely on my list. That's a good one. So Gandalf. All right. I'm gonna go with one of our favorite movies growing up. The Crow, man. Eric Draven, who was played by Bruce Lee's son, Brandon Lee. Crow is a fantastic movie.
I was blown away when I first saw that movie.
Oh, it's still one of my favorite movies.
There so many cool lines.
Yeah.
There's a scene when he's about to attack this whole, I don't want to call it a mafia, but this whole group.
That's what they were.
Yeah, this whole group of guys. And he knocks out all the lights, but there's like lightning outside going on.
Yeah.
And like it's dark flash, and the cinematography was amazing. And I would just, and the manicness of a lot of Brandon Lee's performance.
Oh,
certain scenes. I mean, the son, Ernie Hudson, he plays the cop that kind of befriends him, and he pulls a gun on Brandon Lee's character, and he's like, "You moved, you dead," and he just Eric Draven, raises his hands. He goes, "I'm dead, so I move," and the look on his face is just like,
yeah,
okay, whatever. And so, yeah.
If you guys have not seen The Crow, so The Crow is basically this guy is murdered. Him and his girlfriend or wife are murdered on
his fiance on
Hallows Eve or Day of the Devil. What's it called?
On Halloween night, they burn. These guys like own property in this city, and they burn all the property to collect for insurance and stuff like that. But they try to force people out, and Eric Draven and his wife to be Shelley, who were getting married on Halloween because they're a kooky couple.
They're gothic for sure.
Yeah, and he's a musician as well, and so he's just like in that phase. But these guys they're not moving, so they just go in to rough him up and they just kill him.
Yeah, well,
they do a lot worse.
They do a lot worse. Just watch. We're not going to give it all away, but basically he dies and he comes back as a spirit of vengeance, essentially. Yeah. He is back to undo the wrongs that were done to him. If you've not seen this movie, and it's a shame because Brandon Lee was going to be a star.
I mean,
you watch his movie and everyone our age was like, this guy is the real deal. And
there was a movie he did before this one called Rapid Fire, and Rapid Fire the story was not great,
right,
but the action it wasn't up to par of what you've seen his father do, but you could tell that given some leg room, this guy might be able to do something. And The Crow was just like everything, the story, action, everything. His actual acting ability was head and shoulders above that. I mean, his trajectory, if he kept going,
he would have been a superstar.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, he would have been a superstar. He would have been. So, shame that happened. But great movie if you haven't seen it. The Crow, Eric Draven, whatever his name is. Number 2 for me. All right, you're number 3.
All right, that was going to be my number 3.
Oh, shame. Shouldn't have grabbed the Avengers.
Yeah. Oh well. Anyway, I'm going to go with.
You better go strong. I've got some good ones here.
Kenny from South Park.
Which. Does he die in
the movie?
South Park Longer Uncut?
Yeah, he's in hell.
Oh, okay, that's right. Yeah, he is in hell. Yeah. I figured you might take Kenny. I looked into that, and I was like, I couldn't remember if he died in the movie. I mean, obviously, South Park, if you're not familiar with it, he would die every episode. Yeah. Oh, my God, they killed Kenny. And we had a friend named Kenny growing up, so it was kind of funny. But, yes, so why does Kenny make your list?
Kenny's name, but he looked like Cartman.
Thank you for that, because now I get my number 3, which I thought you were going to take, but...
that's probably my next one.
I don't know. I've got 2. I hope you don't grab my next 2. Anyways, why Kenny? What's so great? Just
the movie. The movie. It's just so funny.
Kenny is one of the great comic characters of all time. Let's just keep it real. If you've never watched South Park, what are you doing with your life? But there's probably people in their 20s that haven't seen South Park. Now that I think about it, but when that show came out, it changed everything.
Oh yeah,
for cartoon
for adults. Content. Yeah,
I mean, Adult Swim. Is it around if there's no South Park? I don't know. I don't know about that because it was irreverent. The movie, as we talked about, features some great songs. It's a great, funny story. It's an engaging movie. We talked about last week, Satan and Saddam Hussein are a couple. Stuff's happening. Yeah. It's a hard R. Now, I'm not suggesting everyone will see it, but if you like those kind of movies, you've never seen South Park, Bigger, Longer, Uncut, go check it out. It's great. So, all right, so Kenny's your number 3.
Yeah.
All right, my number 3 is a movie that spoke to me as a child. I mean, I remember seeing this movie at theater, crying a lot. That's man, what a movie. E.T. is my number 3. E.T. dies at the end of the movie, and then he comes back to life. Who's the kid in the movie?
The actor?
Elliot.
Elliot's the character.
Crying, man. E.T.'s dead. He's been pronounced dead on the table. And I think he comes back because of love, man. There's a song about that. What is that song called? A band wrote about Put on Your Heart Light or something like that. You know you know what song I'm talking about?
No.
There's a song called Heartlight by some like 80s like cheesy.
I'll have to look that one up.
Okay, anyway, so
But I think it was the combination that I think he had to be near his people,
okay.
and he was kind of using Elliot as kind of like a battery,
Okay.
as opposed to like that hard wire source
Yeah,
that he would
that's
get
true, that's
from his
true.
family.
Yeah.
And I think that
You don't remember E.T. dying?
I remember that now. Yeah,
He's on the table.
yeah,
He's dead,
he's
man.
dead. And
You
then
ma-
like
you-
his heart light. Yeah,
Can you
he just
imagine
comes-
every 8-year-old child across the country that was my age, your age, watching that? We were crying our eyes out, man. That's probably the first movie I ever cried at, John. I mean,
a few months ago, I found the recording of Henry Thomas played Elliot. His audition.
yeah.
He was amazing.
Yeah, he was,
I mean, the director had him, Steven Spielberg, had him reading stuff that wasn't in the movie.
Okay.
It's just some stuff.
yeah.
And this kid turned on the waterworks,
No,
and
he's-
like I was like,
Some of these
what was that movie from?
some
I
of
was
these,
like,
some of these child actors are phenomenal.
and
Like,
I mean,
they're-
he still acts here and there, but I mean,
I'm telling you, man, Turn On Your Heart Light, dude. There's totally a song called Turn On Your Heart Light, and I'm pretty sure it's by Neil Diamond. Neil Diamond? What? Yeah. Oh, is it? Oh, I wonder if it's actually about Neil Diamond's E.T. Ode Heartlight causes legal skirmish. Yeah. I think, and you
Yes,
read the
E.T.,
lyrics.
I mean,
yes, this was inspired by the 1980 movie E.T. about an alien who comes to Earth and tries to home. When E.T. flies, his heart glows, and that's why Neil Diamond wrote "Turn on your heart light, baby." Oh no! What do you think of Neil Diamond?
I mean, I think he's super talented. There's a lot of great songs that he had in his repertoire.
Okay.
I mean, and there's some songs that people don't know that he did. A song that I talk about quite often that I've
Go
always wanted
ahead,
to do a
go
cover
ahead.
of is Red Red Wine.
Yeah.
Coming to America, Sweet Caroline. I mean, he's got a lot of them.
Yeah. No, he does. He's a talented guy.
I mean, the thing is when you look at the guy, you picture him like, holding club soda and snapping his fingers.
Yes,
and
and he was in that last waltz with the band, right? The band, Bob Dylan's band, had their last concert allegedly, and it's a documentary called The Last Waltz. It's fantastic. If you never watched it, it's fantastic for the performance alone. But apparently Neil Diamond was talking a bunch of shit like backstage, and he was like, he went on. He's like, "Oh, boys, I'm gonna go out there," because this is performances by like Bob Dylan, the band. I mean, these are like big time artists.
Yeah.
And so he's backstage, and number one, they don't even know why he's there. But I guess because he was in the Tin Pan Alley Artist or whatever it's called, and they wanted him on there. And I guess he went out on stage, and he come back after his performance, and he goes, "All right, boys, how you gonna top that?" And Bob Dylan looks up, he goes, "I don't know, I was sleeping." Oh, that's so good, man. So anyway, that's Neil Diamond. Anyways, yes, E.T. I mean, like
that's
I said,
a really good call, man.
I mean, dude, when I think of just every kid that didn't understand about movies at the time, like, oh, these people come back. Like, that's your first movie where you're like, oh, people come back to life. Okay, that's wild, So, all right, that's my number 3. What you gonna round up? I know who you got number 4.
I bet you don't.
Oh, okay, well, that'd be good for me.
Bill and Ted.
What? Bill and Ted.
Bill and Ted from Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey.
Oh, thank you. I'm getting all my guys, man. This is the best list ever. Bill and Ted. Yeah, they do pass away.
Yeah.
Have you watched the new Bill and Ted yet?
I have not yet.
I started watching it. It was like available for like, I don't know what happened. It was available somewhere. I was watching it, and then it wasn't available anymore. So I don't know, but I was watching on an airplane. That's why I was watching on an airplane. I watched half of it. Pretty funny. Actually, it was pretty funny. I've got to finish it off. I did think it was pretty funny. In the new one, they have daughters. It's a weird story. Anyway, so Bill and Ted, yes. Bill and Ted are Keanu Reeves and Bill Winters playing Bill and Ted, who are burnouts. I mean, they're losers.
Yeah.
Let's just call them what they
Yeah.
are. They're losers who, unknown to them at the time, are going to change the course of history. you know.
Yes.
And so, yes, they die and go to hell, which isn't the second movie. Is the second movie called Bill and Ted Go to Hell? Or were they?
It's
I think
Bogus Journey.
I think that was the alternate title. And I think the studio's like, no, you're not calling it Bill and Ted Go to Hell. So good call. Okay, Bill and Ted, your last one.
That's my last one.
All right, well, I'm going to round up mine with a movie once again that we've watched many a times. I absolutely love this movie. You ever heard of The Matrix?
He's on my list.
Neo dies at the end of the first movie.
Oddly enough, same actor.
Yeah, that's weird, right? Yeah, Keanu Reeves, man, likes to die and come back. That was the pivotal scene of the movie. I mean, I would assume most people have seen The Matrix, but I mean, The Matrix, I've always said, is pretty much Jesus in that world in that movie. He's the savior,
chosen one.
Yes, and he has to die and get resurrected to come back with all of his power. But he demonstrates blue pill, red pill. If you know about QAnon, which we're talking about before the mics were on, everyone loves everything with the man. What if it's all the Matrix, man? You know, you got those like, dude, shut up, okay? Like, okay, so what if it is? It's not that bad. But so he has powers and he has to fight people, and essentially he gets taken down, and then he comes back. So I'm sure everyone's seen The Matrix. That's one I don't think I'm spoiling too heavily. I mean, like I say, you could say Jesus comes back. Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of these resurrections we've listed are, well, I don't know. Endgame, you knew they were coming back, right? Gandalf, maybe not. Kenny, you kind of knew he would come back. Bill and Ted definitely was like, whoa, is that where they're going with it? But a lot of these the deaths happen early, but some of these, I don't know. I guess it's a mix. Some of them happen at the end of the movie to kind of mess with you. So, all right, well, let me run down our list. So John had everybody from the Avengers Endgame, Gandalf, Kenny from South Park, and Bill and Ted. I had Jesus, Eric Draven from The Crow, E.T., and Neo from The Matrix. All right, John, who else was on your list that we did not miss? I'll see if you've got any I got.
Aslan from The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe.
I saw that on the list.
Spawn.
Okay.
Jason from Friday the 13th.
Yeah, I didn't really count any horror movies, but I mean.
Superman.
Oh, yeah.
Here's one I was really leaning on putting higher on my list was Phil from Groundhog Day.
Oh, yeah. It's a good one. I didn't even think about that. Yeah. I would have been on my list. Oh, that's a good call. Maybe.
Spock from Star Trek.
Yeah, I had Spock for sure.
We talked about Voldemort / Harry Potter.
Yeah.
The sisters from Hocus Pocus.
Okay.
And before the show, I mentioned that I wasn't going to use this person, but I had to give an honorable mention to Doc Brown from Back to the Future.
Okay. I also had Catwoman, which we talked about last week.
Yeah.
And Frank Bannister, who is Michael J. Fox.
Michael J. Fox, yes.
Decent movie.
As far as him being in horror movies, yeah.
It's a pretty good movie, though. It's he dies and sees dead people and all that good stuff.
He actually dies twice.
Yeah.
And comes back.
Right. Yeah. So it's a good, decent movie if you've never seen The Frighteners is what that movie is. But, yes, that was our Mount Rushmore of resurrected movie characters. So let us know who we missed, or maybe we got it all right. We'll find out when we post.
I'm sure people are going to want to lynch us for not putting Superman on that list.
Or Spock. I'm sure Spock. A lot of people are like, you didn't put Spock on there? Yeah. Look, guys, I've said it before. I'll say it again. I'm not the biggest Star Trek fan in the world. I respect it. I don't love it. Okay, I've seen the dumb movies. I remember going to see Search for Spock at the movie theaters and went, ugh, this is, I was like 10 or 11, maybe 12. I was like, this is not a very good movie. So I don't know.
Not after Wrath of Khan.
Yeah, I mean that.
Wrath of Khan was an amazing movie.
Yeah, sometimes it's hard to, when you get up to the top of the mountain like that, and the whole story's built around killing this character off. It's hard to come back with a movie that's just as good as that. You know, that's hard draw. I say a lot about a lot of TV shows. Like, How I Met Your Mother was one that people love, but I felt like the concept of that show ran out like pretty quickly early on, where it's just like, okay, I mean, would he really be talking to his kids for like 3 years about meeting his mother? I don't know. I there's other shows where like I've been watching Billions on Showtime, and so the concept of the movie is there's a billionaire. And there's the general attorney played by Paul Giamatti, who's fantastic in everything he does. And the first 2 seasons are like them going against each other, trying to get the attorney general's trying to get him arrested. He's trying to get, not arrested, and he's doing stuff to him. And it's great, this one-up stuff. But then they get to the pinnacle of that, and then it spins off into a different show, kind of like Homeland's another show where first 2 seasons are about this guy, and then that guy's gone. So sometimes these shows wrap a lot around the concept, like Lost.
Yeah.
And once they hit the concept, you're like, uh-oh, where do they go from here? So it is a conundrum to have. All right, so we got a few more minutes. Is there anything you're watching? Now, I told you to go watch Invincible, which is a animated show on Amazon Prime. And Invincible is about a young man who his father is essentially Superman. So what Invincible does is they take properties that already exist and they change them just a little bit. So they have the Justice League in the show, but it's not.
It's called the Guardians of the Globe.
Right, and it's the Justice League.
Yeah.
I mean, it's every
There's
archetype.
character.
Yes,
yeah.
I mean, straight up. And I would say Invincible is a young man who gets powers and he's trying to become like a superhero. So he joins his team that's like the Teen Titans, pretty much, you know. So anyway, it's animated, and people go, "Oh, why do I watch a stupid show?" Well, did you like the show The Boys on Amazon Prime? You're gonna like Invincible. It's very graphic. It's got to be R-rated. I mean, for sure. The language alone. I mean, they're dropping F-bombs. Like, whoa, I'm not used to that. So, you've watched Invincible, John. Should people go watch it?
Oh yeah, I'm a fan. If you like anything superhero related, you could probably dig it. Because it does put a darker spin on it, and
But it's
a
also,
lot of people's biggest gripe about superhero stuff is a lot of the backlash not being realistic, and so this kind of puts some of that stuff into question.
If you're a comic book fan and you're not watching it, I really don't know what you're doing with your time, because it is an homage to DC throughout. I mean, there's even a demon detective, which I crack up about. I love it. I think it's fantastic.
The demon detective is like, 3 parts. You got John Constantine.
You got
the question and the demon.
And the demon, yeah, he's fantastic. It's a really good series. It's by Kirkman, who also wrote The Walking Dead. So if you're a Walking Dead fan, you should be watching it. If you're a comic book...
And also the main character is voiced by Stephen Yeun.
Yep, so there you go. And then who is the dad? He is...
J.K. Simmons.
Oh, I love J.K. Simmons. I could watch anything he's in. He's one of those guys, any movie he's in, automatic better that he's in it. I mean...
I'm just so surprised that he does those State Farm commercials.
It is crazy, right?
Because the guy is just so good. You get lost in his character. I mean, he's one of the few people that he's instantly recognizable. You know it's him when you see him.
Yeah.
You know it's him when you hear him. But he becomes that character, and you're able to watch that away.
I was bummed that there were rumors that Spider-Man was going to kind of be fading away with Holland. Now, obviously that's not true anymore, but when the Disney thing happened, I was like, are we not going to get his Joe Jameson, who came back at the end of Homecoming, right? Was that the one?
No, Far From Home.
Far From Home. He come back and he was like, oh, I love him as J. Jonah Jameson. I think he's fantastic. If you really want to watch a great movie with J.K. Simmons, Whiplash is the movie to watch.
He won an Oscar for it.
Oh, that movie. I've watched it multiple times. I absolutely love it.
Is that on a streaming service?
I think you have to pay for it, but it's worth the $4. It's definitely one of my favorite movies of all time. I mean, I've watched it multiple times. It's about a guy that's a drummer, a college kid's a drummer. Can't think of the kid's name, but he was
Miles Teller.
Yeah, he was in Fantastic Four. He's a drummer in college, and he meets, J.K. Simmons' character, who is a perfectionist, to say the least. And it is really a movie about how far you want to push yourself to be the best at something. And it really asks a lot. What I like about it, there's no right, there's no wrong. I mean, you can look at either way, but where do you stand on that? Are you willing to endure abuse to become the best at what you do? Or is that too much? Should people not? It's a gray movie that asks a lot of questions, and the ending is phenomenal. So our pick of the week, Invincible, definitely, right? I mean, it's
been great.
Here's what's great about the podcast. I leave John's house around 10. I usually get to my house around 11-ish. And we're on Central Standard Time. New episodes come out every Friday. That new episode's available when I get home, so I'll watch it as soon as I get home. So I cannot wait to watch it.
You're welcome.
I know, and the boys too. Every time I would come home from the podcast, boys was queued up to go. I was like, I was watching this like right as everyone else was, so I absolutely love it. All right, well, there we go. That is the episode, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Everyone be praying for DMX and his family as we move forward. Hopefully you guys had a great Easter, and hopefully you enjoyed the Mount Rushmore. Let us know what you thought. You can do that by going to our website, bybpod.com. That is bybpod.com. If you go to that website, you can check out all of our amazing articles. We've got all of our social media links on there. So if you want to follow us on Twitter, Facebook, whatever, subscribe on YouTube for sure. Hit that like button right now. Do that where you don't miss anything out. We're going to start putting articles back up again. I'm going to start getting some more movie reviews going on, but just go to that website. You can check it all out there. That way you can interact with us and let us know what you think about the show. rate, subscribe, review, all that good stuff that you need to do. And what about Amazon link, John? We haven't talked about it in a while.
Amazon link. Mother's Day is next month, so you can buy stuff. Birthdays, anything you need for the house, buy it on Amazon. But go to our website first and use that Amazon affiliate link. It will cost you nothing more, but it does help out the show.
That's true. And you just find it, scroll all the way to the bottom of the page. It's right there. It's at the top with the Amazon link at the top of the page. So do that. Help support us. Thank you guys so much for coming, hanging out with us. Thanks for listening. And with all that being said, John, is there anything else?
Don't blame yourself when you can blame your brother.